Hi everybody, thank you for joining me for today's yoga. My name is Holly. Today's focus is going to be on the back of the body, so we're working into the back and a little bit into the hamstrings. If you're working with any injuries today, as always, just be mindful. If something doesn't feel good in the body, then just back out of it. I don't intend to use any props today, but as always, if you like to use props in your practice, then have a block or a strap to hand. I am going to be modifying my poses slightly, so for our vinyasas I will be lowering my knees down and doing up dogs instead of cobras, but if you have a regular practice and you want to just do your regular vinyasa, then you can go ahead, but if you'd like to just copy me, then that's absolutely fine too. So we're going to start today in a comfortable seated position. I'm going to sit cross-legged. You could sit on a block or you could sit on your heels. I'm just going to rest my hands on my knees. You can rest them in your lap if you prefer. And just lifting up out of the waist, finding length in the spine here, relaxing the face, maybe closing the eyes or lowering the gaze, and just taking a moment here to center ourselves on our mat, letting go of the day we've had so far, and bringing the focus inwards, noticing our breath. So starting to slow down the breath, taking our inhales and exhales through the nose. And using this time to notice how the body's feeling, to notice if you're holding any areas of tension. And we'll start with a neck release. So we're going to lower our right ear down to our right shoulder. Getting that nice stretch down the left side of the neck. And then making a half circle with the chin all the way over to the opposite side. So now our left ear's on our left shoulder. And again, making a half circle. Moving over to the right. And then one more time over to the left. And then lifting our heads back to center. On an inhale, taking our arms up towards the ceiling. And then bringing our right hand, down towards the mat. Left arm reaches up and over, taking a side body stretch. Keeping that left hip connected with the mat, opening up down the left side of the body. Inhaling back through to center, both arms up. Exhaling, bring the left hand down to the mat, right arm reaches up and over. Inhaling back through to center, both arms up. This time bringing our left hand onto our right knee, right fingertips behind us. Inhaling as we lift up out of the waist. Exhaling, we're going to take a twist over to the right. So I'm not twisting very deeply at the moment, but you want to try and turn your shoulders towards the right. Maybe taking your gaze over the right shoulder if it feels good for your neck. And then release back through to center, both arms up. And then bringing our right hand onto our left knee, left fingertips behind us. Inhale as we lift up out the waist. Exhale and take the twist over to the left. Drawing that belly in towards the spine so you can twist a little deeper. Maybe you're taking your gaze over the left shoulder. And then inhaling back through to center, both arms up. Exhaling to release. And we'll come into our tabletop pose. So wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We'll warm up the spine with some cat-cow. So inhale, drop the belly, tailbone lifts, chest comes forward, gaze is forward. Exhale to round and contract, take the chin in towards the chest, rounding through the upper back. Inhaling, belly drops, tailbone lifts. Exhaling as we round and contract. Inhale to open through the chest. Exhaling to round. And one final time, inhale and drop the belly. Exhaling to round, draw that belly in towards the spine. And then coming into a flat back. So from here, we're going to move into our puppy pose. We're going to start to walk our hands forward and melt our chest down towards the mat. But this time we want to try and find length in the spine. So instead of trying to really melt that chest down and arching through the back, we're looking for length. So you may want to stay up on tented fingertips and just reaching those arms forward. You probably won't come down as low as you normally do in your puppy pose. And trying to release from the lower back. And then gently walking our hands back in towards us. We're going to bring the big toes together. Take the hips down towards the heels, coming into our child's pose. Resting the forehead on the mat. Reaching the arms out long. Relaxing the arms. Relax the hips. Releasing the low back. And then on an inhale, coming back into our tabletop pose. And then we'll reach our right arm up towards the ceiling, opening up across the chest, taking our gaze along with it. Exhale, we'll thread the needle, bringing the right hand behind the left wrist, coming onto the right shoulder and right ear. This time there's an option to take a bind, so we can bring our left hand behind the lower back, maybe reaching all the way around and wrapping it around that right thigh. Feel that nice opening into the right shoulder. And then bringing our left hands back underneath the left shoulder. We'll unwind on an inhale, taking our right hand up towards the ceiling. Exhaling back down into our tabletop pose. Moving on the left side, inhale, reach the left hand up, opening up across the chest. Exhale, thread the needle, coming down onto our left shoulder and left ear. Option to take that bind, so we can bring our right hands behind the lower back, maybe wrapping it around the front of the left thigh. Opening up into that left shoulder. And keeping the hips over the knees. And then releasing from here, bringing our right hands back underneath the right shoulder on an inhale, opening up, so bringing that left hand up towards the ceiling and exhaling to lower into our tabletop pose. So we'll make our way into our first downward facing dog. So we want our feet hip width distance apart, tuck the toes, taking our hands slightly in front of the shoulders. On our next exhale, lift those knees, send the tailbone high into our downward facing dog. Looking for length in the spine here. Keep a bend in the knees if the backs of your legs are feeling tight. You may want to pedal out the feet. So lifting one heel and bending into the opposite knee. And pressing down through the fingertips and knuckles of the hands. Trying to take the pressure out of the wrists. And then coming into some stillness with the legs. We're going to shorten our stance slightly, so we're going to walk our feet about maybe a foot in, and you may want to bend the knees here to make this a bit more comfortable. We're just going to take a twist from here. So we're going to bring our right hand to the outside of our left leg. Maybe taking your gaze underneath this left shoulder. Really trying to twist yourself over to the left. I'm not twisting, I'm staying as I am. And then releasing that right hand back. Going the opposite side, taking our left hand to the outside of the right leg. Maybe gazing underneath the right armpits and trying to twist yourself over to the right. And then releasing that left hand back. And then we'll make our way to the top of the mat by walking our feet. So lifting the heels and then walking our feet up towards the hands. Coming into our ragdoll fold here. Keep a generous bend in the knees. Maybe catching a hold of opposite elbows, letting the crown of the head hang heavy. Releasing the lower back. You might want to sway gently from side to side. Making sure you're not holding any tension in the neck. And then releasing our fingertips to the mat, pressing down through the feet. Keep a bend in the knees. We're going to roll all the way up the spine. Come into our Tadasana Pose, our mountain pose. So crown of the head is lifted, lengthen that tailbone down, palms face forward. Rooting down evenly through the feet. On our next inhale, we're going to circle our arms up towards the ceiling, palms meet overhead. Interlace the fingers and push the palms away from us. We're going to take a side bend from here. So inhale as we lift up out the waist. Exhale, take a side bend over to the right. Option to take this bend a little bit deeper. So we can bring our left foot behind us, behind the right foot. And then releasing from here, back through to center. Keep the arms where they are. Lift up out the waist. Exhale, side bend over to the left. Option to step that right foot behind, deepen in the stretch. And then coming back through to center, releasing those hands down, diving down over the body. Take a bend in the knees, bring the hands to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. On an inhale, reaching that right foot up towards the ceiling. On an exhale, bring this knee in towards the nose, bring the weight of the body over the wrist and step the right foot in between the hands. Option to use your hand to help you get it there if you didn't quite make it. Lowering the back knee down, making sure right knee is directly over the ankle. Inhale, we're going to lift the arms up overhead into our low lunge. So making sure that we stay active in the core here and we're not arching through the lower back. So you can sink the hips, but we still want to keep this core engaged and tuck the pelvis under. And then from here, we're going to take a bend into the right elbow. Bring the palm of the hand onto the upper back. Option to hold onto the elbow with the left hand or bring the left hand behind you and interlace the fingers, coming into cow face arms. Opening up down the back of the right arm into the right shoulder. Keep the chest lifted. And then exhaling to release, we're going to bring our hands down to frame this front foot. We're going to keep our left hand where it is. You're going to bring your right hand onto the right knee and gently push the right knee open, taking a bit of a twist. I'm not taking the twist, so you're going to turn your body towards the right leg and turn your chest towards the right leg. Twists are great for the spine. And then releasing back through to center, bringing your hands down to frame this front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. We're going to take our right foot back and step into downward facing dog. We'll go straight to the opposite side. So on an inhale, reaching the left leg up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring this knee in towards the nose, take the weight over the wrist, step the left foot in between the hands. Make sure left knee is directly over the ankle, lower that back knee down. When you feel steady, on an inhale, lift the chest, reach the arms up overhead. Remember to not arch through the lower back, tuck the pelvis under, engage the core here. And then bending into the left elbow, bringing it onto the upper back, the hand onto the upper back, maybe holding on to the left elbow with your right hand, maybe bringing your right hand behind you, interlacing the fingers, coming into cow face arms. Keep the chest lifted. Option to use a strap if you can't quite bring your fingertips to interlace. And then exhaling to release these hands down to frame this front foot. You're going to take the twist, but I'm not, so I'm going to keep my right hand on the mat. You're going to bring your left hand and gently open into that left knee and turn your body towards that bent leg. And then coming back through to center, bring your hands down to frame this front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. We're going to take the left leg back, downward facing dog. On our next inhale, reaching our right leg up towards the ceiling. On an exhale, bring the knee in towards the nose, weight over the wrist, step the right foot in between the hands. This time we're keeping the back leg lifted. We're going to come into high lunge. So when you feel steady on your feet, lift the chest, reach the arms up overhead. Square off everything to the front of the mat. Same as the low lunge, engage that core, tuck the pelvis under. Keep a bend into that back knee if you feel like any pinchiness in the lower back. And then we're going to bend into the elbows, bring in the forearms in front of us. We're taking eagle arms, so we're going to bring the right elbow underneath the left elbow, maybe bind in once, so backs of the hands together, bind twice, bring the palms of the hands together. If this isn't available to you, hold on to the shoulders instead. If you're in eagle arms, lift the elbows, drop the shoulders, maybe take the forearms slightly away from the face. On our next exhale, we're going to open out to warrior two. So we're going to turn to the side of the mat, bring the back foot so it's parallel with the back of the mat, arms out at shoulder height, making sure shoulders are directly over the hips. Roll that right thigh and knee open. Reach those fingertips away from you. And then release these hands down behind the lower back, interlace the fingers, opening up across the chest. We're going to take a variation of humble warrior. So on an exhale, dive down to the inside of the right thigh. Maybe keeping your hands on the lower back, maybe reaching those knuckles up towards the ceiling, making sure you're not let those shoulders drop down towards the ears. Engage them, draw them back into the back. If your knuckles are lifted, bring them back onto the lower back, press down through the feet, inhale, lift the chest. From here, we're going to bring our right forearm onto the right thigh, left arm reaches up and over the ear, coming into our side angle pose. So maybe taking your gaze to the palm of this left hand. If you've got the space, you may be able to bring your right hand down onto the mat, maybe reaching it on a block instead. Pressing down through that left foot, reaching through those left fingertips, opening up down the side of the body. On our next exhale, we'll unwind from here, so lowering that left hand down, framing the front foot with both hands, step the right foot back, we're in our plank pose. From here, we're going to move through a vinyasa. Exhale to lower all the way down or halfway to chaturanga. Inhale into your cobra or up dog. If you're in cobra, your hips are on the floor, your elbows are bent. Exhaling, downward facing dog. On our next inhale, reach the left foot up towards the ceiling. Exhaling, knee in towards the nose, weight comes over the wrist, step that left foot in between the hands. Making sure you feel steady on your feet before you lift the chest, coming into our high lunge. Square off everything to the front of the mat. And then taking a bend into the elbows, bringing the forearms in front of us. Bring the left elbow underneath the right elbow, coming into our eagle arms. So option to bind once or bind twice. So palms of the hands together or hold on to the shoulders. If you're in eagle arms, just take those forearms slightly away from the face. Maybe tucking the chin in. On our next exhale, opening out to our warrior two. So turn into the long edge of the mat, turn the back foot, it's parallel with the back of the mat, arms out at shoulder height. Reaching those fingertips away from here, arms are active. Pressing down evenly through both feet. And then bringing our hands behind us, interlacing the fingers, maybe the more unusual way, so the opposite little finger is on top. Opening up across the chest, exhale, come into our humble warrior, so diving down to the inside of the left leg. Maybe keeping your knuckles on the lower back, maybe reaching them up towards the ceiling. And then releasing our knuckles back onto the lower back, press down through the feet, inhale to lift the chest. From here, we'll come into side angle pose, so bringing your left forearm onto the left thigh, Right arm reaches up and over. Palm of the hand is facing down towards the ground. Maybe taking your gaze to this right palm of the hand if it feels comfortable for your neck. If you've got the space, you may be able to bring your left hand down to the mat. Reaching those right fingertips away from that right foot. On our next exhale, we'll release the hands down to frame this front foot. Come up onto the ball of the back foot. We're taking the left foot back, plank pose. Moving through a vinyasa. Exhale to lower all the way down or halfway to chaturanga. Inhale into your cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. On our next inhale, coming up onto the balls of the feet. So lift the knees, bend the knees, gaze towards the top of the mat and stepping up to the hands. Inhaling into our half lift, flat back, so palms can come onto shins or fingertips can stay on the mat. Exhaling into our forward fold. Inhale, circle our arms up towards the ceiling, palms meet overhead. Exhale, bring our hands down through to heart center. From here, we're going to step our left foot back, so we're facing the long edge of the mat. We're coming into a wide-legged fold here, so option to have your legs as wide as you want, but the closer they are together, the more you're going to work into the hamstrings. Bring your hands onto the waist. Inhale as we lift up out the waist. Exhaling, taking a fold. So you can bring your hands down onto the mat. Noticing how this feels in the hamstrings and into the lower back. Let that crown of the head hang heavy. And then we're just going to work a little bit into the shoulders. So we're going to bring our right hand onto our left knee and bring our left hand onto our right knee. So we're crossing the arms, just opening into that upper back. And then releasing the hands down onto the mat. Bring our palms down, straightening into the arms. Inhale into a flat back. And then bringing our hands onto our waist. Slight bend in the knees, press down through the feet. Inhale to lift the chest. From here, we're going to step to the top of the mat. And we'll flow down to our down dog. So inhale to lift those arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, swan dive down over the body into our forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back, find length in the spine. Exhaling as we fold, place the hands down, step back, downward facing dog. And then lowering our knees down onto the mat, bringing our feet off to one side so we can bring our sitting bones down. And then just bringing our legs out long in front of us. Bringing our palms of the hands down onto the mat, just behind the sitting bones. Option to have your fingertips face in towards you, or you can face them away if you prefer. We're coming into reverse plank. If you know this doesn't feel good in the shoulders, you may prefer to bend your knees and come into reverse tabletop. So on an inhale, we're going to lift the chest. Lift the chest, lift the hips. Point those toes down towards the mat. Noticing how this feels in the shoulders. If it feels okay for your neck, you may want to drop your head back or just keep your gaze up towards the ceiling. Engage those glutes, engage those hamstrings to keep the hips lifted. Exhaling, lower the hips down. Release the hands. We're going to take a bend into the right knee. Bring it in towards the chest. Set the right foot to the outside of the right leg. From here, we're going to take a twist. I'm not going to twist towards my leg, but I will cue how to do it. So we're going to bring our left hand around this right thigh. Bring our right fingertips behind us, and you're going to twist over to the right. I'm going to do an open twist, so I'm just going to bring my hands down to the left. Draw that belly in towards the spine. Maybe taking your gaze over the right shoulder behind you. And then releasing back through to center. We're going to bring our right knee on top of the left knee with our right heel to the outside of the left hip. So we're coming into half cow face pose. This may be enough for you. You might already feel a stretch on the back of the left leg. If you'd like to go deeper, we're just going to creep our fingertips forward and start to fold over the legs. You should feel it in the back of the left knee. Just stop when you start to feel tightness. Keep this bottom leg active so you're pulling those left toes in towards you. And then releasing from here, so bringing those fingertips back in towards us as we lift the chest. We'll release the right leg, take a bend into the left knee, and we're going to step the left foot to the outside of the right leg. You're going to wrap your right arm around the left thigh and bring your left fingertips behind you, opening out to a twist, so you're turning towards the left. I'm going to do an open twist, so I'm bringing both hands down to the right. Maybe you're gazing over your back shoulder. And then releasing back through to center. We're going to bring our left knee on top of our right knee with our left heel to the outside of our right hip. Bringing our fingertips down onto the mat, framing this straight leg. This may be enough for you. If you want to go deeper, you're just going to creep your fingertips forward until you start to feel a stretch into the back of the right leg, maybe into the back of that right knee. Keep that right leg active, pull those toes back towards you. And then releasing from here, so we're going to bring our fingertips back in towards us as we lift the chest. We're going to release this left leg out long. We're going to take a twist from here down on our backs, but I'm not coming down onto my back, so I'm going to cross at the ankles and turn to face you. If you're coming into a recline twist, we're going to the right first, so we're going to bring our left hand, well, I'm going to bring my left hand onto my right knee, right fingertips behind me. If you're just lowering your knees down to the right, if you're on your back, and taking your gaze over to the left. If you're on your back, bring your knees back through to center. If you're in a seated twist, coming back through to center. This time going over to the left, so you're dropping your knees down to your left if you're on your back. Otherwise, you're bringing your right hand onto your left knee, left fingertips behind you, twisting over to the left. And then releasing back through to center, so bringing those knees back through to center. If you're on your backs, make your way to a seated position. Come to sit cross-legged or sit on your heels. And just taking a moment here to notice how the body is feeling. If you feel any different to how you felt when you first got on the mat. Noticing if you feel a little bit more open in the back, into the upper back, the shoulders. And then bringing our hands into prayer position at heart center. Give yourselves a thank you for making time to get on the mat today, and thank you very much for joining me. And hopefully I will see you next time. Goodbye.